I am very fortunate to have a lot of long-term friendships. In the moment I included for September 16th in my book, Losing Linda May, Cancer Caregiving Memoir, I'm having dinner with my friend Ashley, who I've known since 5th grade. And then in the moment I included for September 18th, I'm getting an acupuncture session with my friend Kimberly, who I had known since the summer before my junior year in college. So despite the major difference in friendship duration, both of these individuals knew me before my mom's cancer had metastasized to her brain and spinal cord, and I relocated back home to be her primary caregiver. So that's the before Logan. And having individuals like this in your life who know you before a major traumatic incident are so important for these reasons. Number one, you can always rely on them to bring up memories from the past when times were so much more simple and you were so blissfully ignorant and optimistic about what life would be. And that can be so refreshing when you are trudging through a traumatic experience or you're processing a traumatic experience. It gives you this breath of fresh air, and you can actually laugh from a really joyous, deep part of who you are because it is bringing up the past version of yourself that used to actually feel those emotions really easily. Number two, the level of trust and reliability really stacks up the longer that you know someone. So if you've known them for 5 years and then 10 years and then 15 years, and there's never been a major incident between you that you haven't been able to work out, then that is someone you can put your full faith in. And if you are going through a period of a lot of instability and you're really struggling, to know that you have that person or people to lean on in those moments is such a blessing because many people do not have that luxury. Number three is really similar to number two in that the longer that you have cultivated a really strong relationship with someone, the more likely you will feel comfortable sharing all of what you're feeling versus withholding information that might normally be misunderstood if someone doesn't know who you are at your core. That is so advantageous when you're going through a tumultuous period of time with a lot of complex and conflicting emotions, like being a primary caregiver for your mom who has non-Hodgkin lymphoma. They will give you the benefit of the doubt and they will seek to clarify instead of just immediately passing judgment and shutting you down. That can be so liberating when you are really trying to wrestle with a concept because you don't have to worry about holding yourself back. And the more that you can get out, the more you can really reconcile with what you're going through. And that is the way to getting closure. Number four, you save so much time and energy not having to explain all the setup to a situation or a story because the person you're talking with likely already knows all the key players and what has happened historically. So in the case of Ashley, she knew my parents, she knew my siblings, she knew our relationship dynamics. So as I told her about my time as a primary caregiver, I never had to fill in any blanks, and that is such a relief. Number five, they know how to best support you, and they are also more likely to bend over backwards to give you the help that you need. So when I had texted Kimberly, letting her know all these ailments that I was experiencing, which were all derived from being a really unhealthy primary caregiver, she offered to squeeze me into her busy schedule for a free acupuncture session, which was blocking her from getting another patient at that time. And that was her way of giving me tangible support that I needed in that moment. She could have said, well, why don't we go grab a drink and just catch up? That would have been great. I love her company, but that wouldn't have helped me resolve all the issues that I was having. So this was the best way to support me in that moment. Number six, they can remind you about how much you've changed, how much your circumstances have changed, how much they've changed, how much your relationship with them has changed over the time that you've known each other, which can be really helpful to hear during a life-altering event because it's a reminder that change is an inevitability. You are just having a really high rate of change in that moment that's uncomfortable and unusual to you, which I have another video about that I'll link above. And then you're also looking at a person who has been a stable presence in your life, and you can really anchor onto them in a way that you can't with other people because you know that you can weather the storm with them by your side. And that is so helpful when you're going through a period of duress. And finally, number seven, they can remind you of all the ways in which you are the exact same person they met however many years ago, which is equally powerful. Because in times of craziness, when you hear a story about how when you were in middle school and you were obsessed with a robotic dog, like irrationally obsessed with it, and you can connect to that feeling still to this day because you still become irrationally obsessed with technology, you are reminded that you are still fundamentally the same person despite all the experiences that you've had, all the trauma that you've gone through, and that is priceless. In reality, this list could be endless because having long-term friendships are just so advantageous, but I will stop it here. And in the next video I'll be releasing on September 20th, I'll be discussing how you can really run out of things to talk about with a loved one when your lives get too enmeshed. So hit subscribe, leave any questions in the comments. The link to my book is in the description, and I will see you all then.